You want to do the intro?
Sure. Yo, everybody. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Techish. It's one half of your hosting duo, Abadesi of Hustle Crew, joined
With Michael Bahane, the CEO of Pocket and Pocket Jobs. Let's go.
Yay.
So you know what? There's a hilarious story. That's a throwback story I want to talk about.
Oh, okay.
There was this dude based in Lithuania.
Lithuania. Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
and he had a company that was named very similarly to a Taiwanese-based company.
Oh.
He realized that Taiwanese-based company did a lot of business with Google and Facebook.
Interesting.
So he thought to himself, what if I submit an invoice to Google and Facebook and see if they pay it?
Wow.
Fast forward $100 million later of
$100
paid
million.
invoices
Wow.
from Google and Facebook. He finally got caught after 2 to 3 years, and he was
Damn.
prosecuted in 2019.
I really hope he put that in one of those unlockable
No, he had to pay them
Swiss
back.
bank accounts or
He
something.
had to pay them back.
No, bro.
But that is the level of entrepreneurship that I respect.
I love that. Also, I'm sorry, like with those big tech companies that don't pay any tax because all of their like offshore finessing, like what a shame that he couldn't like beat them at their own game.
Do you know what as well? That's how much money these companies make. That $100 million can go missing
notice.
and they didn't notice until
them
right at the
2
very
years
end.
to
They were like,
notice.
and also the people should have got fired. I'm sorry if you're paying
know.
invoices, yeah, and not double checking like who's this person, what's that person.
Also, the person who found the error should get 10% of that.
That's how you incentivize
Do you know what I mean?
someone. Yeah, there
Like,
you go.
I would literally be like, yo, bro, you saw that mistake?
Yeah.
Take it. Like, honestly, there's your bonus.
Do you know what though? Do you think that would work? Let's say in your company or my
Yeah.
company, if we were to be like, okay, you know what? If you can save us like this amount of money, like you get a cut of it. Like,
Hell yes.
you think so?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that's how you incentivize efficiency.
Cash is
though.
king or
Yeah.
queen.
There we go. Okay, so that was my favorite story of like the last 10 years. I just thought I'd just bring
Is
it
he
up
going to
because
jail?
he's been in jail.
Oh.
I hope he's listening now, man. Stay strong, brother. You know what I never get though? When you're doing a crime,
Yeah.
like, of that magnitude, I'm moving to a country where there's no extradition
Thank
policy.
you.
You're
He
catching
should
me
have
in
been in
Cuba.
Russia.
Yeah, exactly.
Saudi.
Cuba, all them things there.
Yeah.
Like, but I think the hubris gets to you. You think you found a little glitch in the matrix, you can never get caught. So he got extradited to the US and he's in an American jail
See,
right
you
now.
should have gone to Nigeria.
Shout out to
man.
my yeah, exactly. No, Nigeria. I'm sure they have an extradition policy
Oh,
there.
really? Yeah, but you just
They
hide
must
in the
do.
village. No one will find you.
Oh, my
Although
days.
he'll be the only white man in the village.
Yeah. So the other founder entrepreneurship world that I thought was interesting was the founder of NVIDIA, which is a chip manufacturer, which actually is a legitimate type. Is NVIDIA Taiwanese?
I don't know, but I feel like
I think so.
maybe.
I'm not sure anyway. Basically, I think they are. But basically, every company, every iPhone, every smartphone, every computer essentially has a chip, probably from an NVIDIA company or NVIDIA itself, basically. And the company is valued at, $100 billion valuation. And it's been a great stock to own if you wanted to kind of own a kind of part of the technology sector. But the CEO was on an interview, I think, with Acquired FM, the podcast, which is a decent podcast. And they asked him, like, they tried to ask him a question that is the type of question people ask a lot of entrepreneurs, which is like, oh, if you're starting again from scratch today, what sector would you work on? Like, what if you were 30 years old today?
Yeah, if you went back to your 30-year-old
back to your
self.
30s, like, what would you work on? And he was like, I would tell myself not to do a company.
Wow.
I just chill because it was too hard. It wasn't worth it, really and truly. And this is a man that's probably worth billions saying that. So take it with a grain of salt, a pinch of salt. Sorry. What do you make of founders having achieved success, looking back and saying, actually, the price wasn't worth it in terms of lifestyle, in terms of stress, in terms of social life, whatever. Do you think, like, listen, man, you got your millions, relax, or do you think that you can have a lot of resources, but feel like actually this wasn't necessarily worth it?
I think there is an assumption that a successful entrepreneur will go back and be an entrepreneur slightly differently, like with the lessons that they've learned. But I think what you often find with incredibly ambitious people who succeeded in their ambitions is that they will offer you a cautionary tale against chasing status. Because I think a lot of people who do set off on this path of, challenging the status quo or like doing something different, like doing something risky, are a little delusional, a little crazy, and it's probably that level of delusion that like keeps them motivated to keep going. But then they look back over the arc of time and kind of go, well, what did I lose, on this journey? Or like, what did I endure? What did I face? And I saw that clip and he talked about things like humiliation, shame, frustration, which we can all relate to. And I think reading between the lines, there's also the relationships that didn't make it. I saw that same week another clip of a founder on 20-Minute VC saying how, it took him 20 years to build whatever this like hundreds of millions of dollar company. And then when he looked around to see who he could toast the success with, there was no one left.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts? You've been in the game almost a decade.
You know what?
What would you go back and tell yourself 10 years ago?
That's difficult. It's hard to know because I would be scared to mess it up. You know, you go back in time and you tell yourself like manage yourself a bit more, and that all of a sudden your company doesn't succeed.
I'd be like, invest in Apple.
Invest in Apple, buy Bitcoin. I don't know. I struggle with these sort of things. I think there's an element of, I think was it Jim Carrey said like, I wish everyone fame and success so you can see that it's not worth shit basically.
Wow.
But then at the same time it's like I don't see anybody walking it back. I don't see anybody saying here's the money, take it. I don't see anybody saying
like
I don't want to be
leaving for a
famous no more.
commune.
Yeah, I don't want to be famous no more. Like, do you know what I
But
mean?
that's the trap of capitalism, perhaps, less so the trap of their own desire.
Perhaps, possibly.
You know what I mean? Like, no one's going to say, oh, my life is comfortable but empty. Let me choose a life of discomfort.
I think the Jim Carrey quote is insightful because you have to see for yourself.
Yes.
There's nothing I can say to you.
Yeah.
And say, bro, you don't want to be an entrepreneur. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. Try it and see.
Well, I think what's really interesting about that actually is this idea of what is success and how do you define it. And I think there's a very mainstream definition of success, which is connected to things like fame and fortune.
Right.
It's very much shaped by capitalism. It's shaped by American propaganda, the American dream, like all of these kinds of things. Hollywood constantly like reminds us that this is what we should dream of. But when you look at people who followed that mainstream definition of success and then achieved it, to your point with this story, a lot of them then go, oh, it ain't what it's cracked out to be.
Yes.
And I actually think when you look at people who have really meaningful lives and are feeling really fulfilled, by the mainstream definition of success, they're losers or lame
in
or
what
hippies.
sense?
Because there are people who
that checked out, you mean? Yeah.
people
I got you.
who
Yeah.
refuse to play the game. Like,
Yeah.
he's running a lifestyle business. We talked about this, on our live
I mean, that's
show.
not even the worst person. The person
Or
running a lifestyle business is fine. But if you're like somebody who's like, I'm living in a van and I'm just
Exactly.
I'm just traveling, whatever.
Totally. Or like, I'm a poet.
Yeah.
I love poetry, by the way. Like, I didn't mean to diss anyone. But someone who's just like, oh, well, how much do you earn? And it's really interesting because we still subscribe to traditional gender roles. And even though I am a feminist, I recognize the fact that there are a lot of women who still have this expectation that a man should earn more than them.
I was going to bring
or
this
a
up.
man should be an earner.
Yeah,
And it's really interesting because, if you decide like, I don't want to be someone that's maximizing my income. I want to be someone that's maximizing, I don't know, my joy or giving back to my community. Like, it might make your dating prospects hard.
100%,
because
yeah.
You're still going to be held accountable to that traditional gender stereotype. So it's even this idea of like, who gets to check out of the mainstream definition of success? Who has the privilege to walk away from it and do something new without having negative, repercussions in the rest of their life?
Yeah, it's as a man, honestly, there's a lot of pressure to make money because otherwise, to a certain extent, people are going to be like, oh, broke boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we want to believe that everyone's enlightened and understanding, but the reality is like
Resentment
the
is
dating market is brutal. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And if you're not somebody who has resources or is on your way to resources, it becomes a situation where your dating chances are limited to a certain extent. So a lot of men just feel like, right, I've got to go crazy and just work like an animal and non-stop till I get this money because it's not going to be my looks that's going to get me anywhere. I promise you that.
Totally.
So there's that part of it. But at the same time, I do think there is an element of jealousy that we have when we see someone just say, I'm tapping at the game. I'm going in my van. I'm traveling the world.
Yeah.
Whatever. You can't tell me that people don't hear that and say, oh man, I kind of wish I could do that.
Oh my goodness.
I wish I had that freedom
it's
to
that
tap out
level
the
of
market.
internal validation that I would dream of. For many of us, we still feel the pressure to fulfill the roles that are demanded of us, whether that's as a partner, as a family member, as an employee, as an entrepreneur. And I think people who have the strength of mind and this security of their own self-esteem should be like, the only person whose opinion matters is my own. I mean, that's literally
Chase
like
your
a
joy.
living Buddha, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? There's this great YouTube clip. It was about, I think it was 60 Minutes. It was about this African-American woman who basically was poor, but she had a super successful career. She had an MBA. She went to Harvard. She worked at the UN.
Wow.
She was probably earning like 200,000 as a consultant. She bought a big house. She had a shop. And then the 2008 recession happened.
Wow.
Everything went. She lost her house. She lost her business. She couldn't get rehired. She was now too old to get hired for these consulting jobs. So she probably was earning like 30,000 in US terms, which is quite low.
Yeah.
And she actually got rescued financially in terms of like mortgage, house payments and rent by this kind of like homeless black guy who basically walked around like, in Jumanji, the way Robbie Williams looked with the long hair and just like really unkempt,
Ragged.
basically. And he had enough money to help her. And they were like, how'd you do that? He's like, I don't live in the world of stuff. So like I might get like $500 a month from the government, but like that's all mine. And basically I don't spend it. Basically I just walk around. I don't know if he was homeless. Maybe he lived in like shelters or whatever. But he was rich in the sense that like he had no real needs that we all have. Like he wouldn't be the guy that's like, I'm going to Starbucks to get the $5.
You just like eat out of a trash can or something.
I don't know, but like he would be like, what do I need to get by for the day? Maybe 1 meal a day, and it's not going to be, you know, an $8 Starbucks with me, basically, right? So I just found that interesting, where sometimes that person who is checked out from the kind of quote unquote system sometimes is able to kind of chip in and help that person who done everything right, quote unquote, had the business, had a fancy consulting job, whatever. I'll try and find the link to it because it really stuck with me. But it's like, but I can never be that person. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like nice shit. I'm gonna keep it real.
That story reminded me of something. When I was a kid, I was such a bookworm, and I remember reading about like ascetic monks.
Yes.
And they're people who have no possessions, no belongings, and rely completely on like the generosity of strangers. And I became obsessed with this idea, and I remember talking about it at the dinner table, like, I'm gonna be one of them.
Dad shut that down real quick.
My family were like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, we'll see where you are like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. I was like,
where's my Gucci? So speaking of society and the system, apparently 4% of Americans are on Ozempic. And that's a trend. If that number and growth continues to grow, who knows where it will be in 2031, for example.
Yeah. I feel like 3.9% of them are in Hollywood.
Yeah, probably. So Ozempic actually was a diabetes drug.
Okay.
And it's from a family of drugs that originally was for diabetes. And they realized, you know, as a second, third order consequence, that you actually lose a lot of weight doing it.
And this is because it suppresses your appetite.
Suppresses your appetite. Apparently makes you go shit a lot as well. Okay. And actually when they looked at people who take it, it's not like you just lose fat, you lose muscle too. So whether you're optimally healthy, I don't know. But at the same time, if you have weight issues or your doctor tells you need to lose weight, then it can be a helpful tool. I've seen a few celebrities that have been on it, and even they've come out and said like, yeah, I went too far. I saw like Sharon Osbourne.
Oh, interesting.
Not to body shame, but she came out and was like, yeah, I got way too skinny on this, basically. Like
Elon Musk famously, popularized it in tech bro land that we are in.
Yes.
I feel like I can tell the celebrities who are on it, because there are a lot of people who you see like just cropping up on like Architectural Digest on YouTube or whatever. Like I saw Lily Allen's recently, and I was like, is that Lily Allen?
Looking mad slim.
I was like, I don't recognize her.
Yeah. I mean, and you gotta imagine Hollywood celebrities have access to like all the personal trainers, the chefs. So if they're like, F it, I'm gonna go on this, you can imagine the average person who's busy working, cooks every meal, or, you know, has kids, you know, it's a very tantalizing prospect.
Kim Kardashian also looking very thin these days.
Yes.
Very
Although
thin.
some people say that they're trying to get away from the kind of stereotypically black aesthetic that they kind of rode that way for a very long time. Yeah,
now they got the money.
Yeah, they want to see what everyone's
access
lagging.
The next level.
Now that BBLs are probably more affordable, they're like, we're out here, basically.
Wow.
What are the kind of second and third order effects of a drug like that being widespread? If it gets to 20% of the population, 30% of the population, where can you go?
We're still living in an incredibly fat phobic culture. Let's start right there. Let's talk about the fact that eating disorders have been on the rise in men. This is for a really, really, really long time, even though like historically they've been, you know, focused around women's communities. It's really, really sad. I grew up, you know, in my teens in an all girls environment. I went to boarding school, and there are a lot of girls there dealing with things, including eating disorders, missing years of school, months of school, going to rehab. And it's incredibly complex, you know, body dysmorphia, not being able to like see yourself the way you really are. But I think the first thing that I see is just how it's going to sadly validate a lot of like disordered eating and a lot of really like unhealthy habits. So size zero culture is already coming back 20 years after it never needed to happen in the first place, in my opinion. So I think that's going to be one of the things. There's just going to be more eating disorders, sadly, because what will happen is people who can't access the drug will feel pressured to look like that, and so they'll find other ways to do it. I also think, I mean, I've lived long enough to know that every miracle drug eventually becomes our enemy.
You talking about side effects, or you mean in terms of just like...
I'm talking about side effects. I'm talking about long-term health effects. I'm talking about like conditions that in 10, 20, 30 years from now will be traced to long-term use of Ozempic, whether that's organ failure, whether that's some kind of neurological condition. I just don't believe that this is coming at no cost. You know, we're going to find out that not only does it, you know, make you lose muscle mass, you're losing your muscle mass in your heart, and now you're more likely to have like, cardiac arrest. I don't know.
It's like I Am Legend in the beginning. It's like, yeah, we've cured cancer, and then it turns you into a zombie.
Yeah.
So maybe zombies are here. Ozempic zombies. I
Wow,
don't know.
dude, that would be such a good horror movie. A24, are you listening? Well, what do you think? What do you think are going to be these long-term consequences?
If things continue as they are, I would probably be shorting gym stocks. I probably would be shorting, some medical providers who probably specialize on stuff to do with obesity.
Yeah.
Potentially, I would probably be looking to buy more fashion stocks, in a sense that I think once more people probably do lose weight, they might be wanting to kind of partake in certain items that they never wanted to buy before.
What about Durex?
What do you mean?
Well, like maybe if more people are slim and more people are body confident, there'll be more sex.
I'm not sure on that one.
No.
Because I think that trend of lonely single men is like very powerful, and I don't know if there's going to be more sex in the future. I would bet on less sex in the future, I'll be honest with you. Especially when you look at things like VR. You look at things like VR and how good the world is getting, how much entertainment you can get in your damn house. Also, probably I would short companies like DoorDash. So if people's appetite are suppressed, how many times have you ordered something on a DoorDash or a delivery where you're like, I'm so hungry? Yeah. If you haven't got the appetite, that's going to definitely hurt those stocks. And it doesn't take much. If like 10% of the population is on Ozempic, that's a sizable impact to a lot of these companies, because that could be a 5% decrease, a 10% decrease.
Yeah, that's really interesting actually, to think about who is the profile of person who'll do it. It'll be someone who, well, putting to one side the people who will actually be prescribed it. Right. People who will choose to go on the medicine out of their own, will. I guess it's going to be people who, want to lose weight, want to subscribe to a certain aesthetic, want to be slimmer, want to look slim. The thing is, you said gyms. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious, like, what percentage of people do you think are in the gym to lose weight versus people who are at the gym because it's now part of their like mental health regime?
You know what? I don't know. That's people are gonna have to look in the mirror and ask themselves that question, because a lot of people do say now it's my mental health, it's that, but it is obviously a helpful side effect that you look better on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? The shirt's fitting better, everything's fitting better. Like, so if, for example, it was great for your mental health but it had no impact on your physical abilities, would you necessarily would the gyms be as packed as they are now? I do not know.
Good question.
Do you know what I mean? That's a whole political question, man. I think the gym thing is interesting though, because I think a lot of people sign up and just don't go. So I think, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure actually. Ozempic and gyms, whether it will really change the game.
Would you go on it?
So this is. I don't think I would. I'm too African. I hate shortcuts. Like my instinct is just like, no, do the hard thing, go into the gym. But what I will say that shocked me, turning now at the ripe old age of 35, like I'm East African, I've been slim my whole life. Like we just naturally like that, innit? You know what I'm saying? To the point where it don't even look good. We're just so slim, like big heads, slim shoulders. Like this ain't the sexy slim. This is just like, yo, eat something, bro. So like as an East African, I thought I was just set in the slim life. I'm good. Like I don't need to worry about nothing. But like when I turned like mid 30s, all of a sudden it was like, yo, the guts popping out, the same foods. I could get away with it. Ain't what it used to be. So I'm like, oh, rah. But when I've read up on Ozempic and I've read the side effects, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not shitting all day. I don't want that. I'm not doing that. It don't matter to me that much. I will stick to the treadmill and the weight section. Thank you very much, basically, and get a grip that way. But if, for example, though, if I was super duper famous and I knew that I was going to go down a red carpet and there was cameras everywhere, the temptation might be there just to be like, I need a quick fix. I got an event in 2 months. I got an event in a month. I've got a concert that I'm starting. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Right. And obviously if you're famous, there's a lot of stress. So you want to binge eat sometimes as well. So
it's tempting. It's so tempting. I think about how when I was getting married and I wanted to look good for my wedding day.
Yes, the wedding thing is real.
Stopped eating meat. I was going to Pilates 3 times a week. I would literally do like 2 exercise classes a day. I was doing like Hollywood amount of exercise. I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't eat any processed food. I lost like maybe 7 or 8 kilos. I'm already quite small. So losing like, 7 or 8 kilos really shows. And it was a lot of effort. And the minute like my wedding was over, I just like went back to, I was just like, Nando's, what's up? Like all the foods I couldn't eat, eating ice cream, all that stuff. I'm really lucky because I have a body type where I can put on weight really easy, but I can also lose weight really easily. Okay. So I feel really fortunate in that sense. But, if someone said to me, hey, you can basically create a calorie deficit to lose weight by exercising more or eating less, or you can take this pill.
Yeah. And they iron out the side effects.
those Ozempic sales are going to be like positively correlated with like women getting married or anyone else literally getting married who just wants to look good on their wedding day, I think.
Yeah, the wedding day thing is a real phenomenon because I've like been invited to a wedding. I haven't seen the person in like 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Then I go to the wedding. I'm like, who the hell is that? They're like, oh, damn. That's the bride and groom. I didn't even recognize them like that. I'm like, well done. I mean, I don't want to say well done. Obviously, everyone's beautiful no matter what. But at the same time, I was like, I didn't recognize you guys. Who the hell is that?
Makeover.
Yeah, the makeover is real. Like, and the weight loss and the dramatic body shape changes.
Studios even have like wedding fitness packages. Like I remember where I used to, I still go to bar. They had this package which was like your wedding fit package or something, and it was like 1-to-1s mixed with classes, mixed with this, mixed with that.
Let's talk about weddings because to me it's gone out of control.
It has
gone out of control.
Wild.
And the blame goes to Mark Zuckerberg and Team Instagram. I'm sorry. The blame, it's gone out of control. The expensiveness in terms of like the venues, how we have to one-up each other. People are going into debt for this stuff.
Oh, but they were always doing that. Come on now. Even before social media, people were being crazy on it.
It's got worse, I think.
Yeah.
Everything. I think there's so much pressure now to like floss on people and to like make sure that like your wedding looks a certain way and there's a certain aesthetic.
Real talk. What do you think is a reasonable amount of money to spend on a wedding? I'm talking like 90, 100 guests.
I don't know.
Like cost per head. How much would you spend?
I mean, I haven't been married before. You tell me. What do you think is a reasonable amount?
I mean, I genuinely didn't want to spend more than 10K.
Okay.
Which is like about £100 per person.
Okay, yeah, that's cheap.
Because I am cheap, bro.
Yeah, well done.
I am cheap.
Yeah.
At one point, I'm not even joking. I was looking at Weatherspoons. Now, for people who don't know.
That's good. If you don't know what Weatherspoons is, that's like a pub chain.
Obviously, it was going to be ironic, but yeah, it's a pub chain. They no longer offer this because the pub that they did this in, which was actually a really cool building in the city of London, like as in like the financial district, used to be a courthouse or something really cool.
Yeah.
But you could do for like £49 per person, which left another extra £50.
There we go.
Pounds per head on the side. You could basically get people fed and drunk and have a bit of a dance. My in-laws vetoed that pretty quickly. They
were like, hell no.
But the thing is, by the time I got married, a lot of my friends had got married. Mm-hmm. And so, I'd been to the dress fittings at all the designer places. I'd seen people spending literally what to me was like 2 people's monthly salary in my team on just the dress. I mean, 10K is just the dress for some people. So I was just like, no way in hell. Again, come on, man. I'm a bootstrapping founder.
Yes.
I'm not going to be spending crazy money on my wedding.
Yes. You start sewing that night. You're like, how do I make this myself?
Like literally. So that was what I wanted to get married for. In the end, I went over budget. I went a bit wild.
11K.
So in the end, it was 15K.
Okay, you did all right.
It was 15K, which, for again, like about 100 guests, not too bad. When I was looking at some venues, the meal alone, I wanted to get married like at the Barbican or something like that, the conservatory. And they tie you into their caterers and it's 150 just for the meal.
Yeah, so caterers and venues for that same venue for a different occasion, they'll charge you one price. For a wedding, they'll charge you, a premium.
Destination weddings are where it's at though. Because once you go to countries, more far-flung, you could be getting married for like £50 per person.
And also you lose a lot of kind of fair weather friends and guests because they're not traveling to, you know what I mean?
So are you getting married? Would you?
So next
Would
question.
You spend money on a wedding?
So what I will say is though, to me, my philosophy is very strange. I always am a believer that, like we talked about in the previous episode about incentives, I feel like the wedding should be cheap, and then every time you have an anniversary, 5 years, 10 years, the party should be bigger, more expensive, more lavish.
That.
Instead of going all front end, when like I've been to weddings where January they're getting married, December they're divorced. I shit you not, basically, right? So I'm like, yo, can we just like have a humble wedding, celebrate? This is the journey we're beginning on, and every time you hit a milestone, I'll come to that and go hard. I give you big gifts. You did 10 years, you're getting a car, bro. Well done, innit? But instead of this whole like, let's have a big party and thing, it's too easy. What have you done? You just walked down the aisle.
Also, can I just say, weddings are a way to scam women?
Yeah, that's
like 100%. Why is it that a wedding dress for a woman is anything between 5 and 10K, but a wedding suit is the same price as any other damn suit? No, let's talk about it.
It's true.
Because weddings are a way to scam women. Like, men just go out and get like a navy suit, a brown suit, or whatever suit, the same ass suit someone's going to be wearing to work.
But it's supply and demand because the price will be paid no matter what. It's the price elasticity.
But this is
if you will pay the price, they will charge you the price.
There's a gender pay gap. I was like, so tell me, make it make sense. We earn less than men to do the same job. And yet, when it comes to our wedding, we have to pay disproportionately more than them just to like rock down the aisle. Come on now.
If
That's
women
so
say
messed
no,
up.
if women's like, we're
I
on a
got my
strike,
dress
we
off
ain't
the
doing this.
rack, and I am proud of that. I was just like, let me just find a pretty white dress, and I found one. People are like, oh, where'd you get your wedding dress?
I wanted to
was
ask you, did you follow that story about Iceland? How they've gone on strike?
No.
You don't follow that story? Oh, I'm gonna
No.
butcher it, but basically, I think women in Iceland it might be Iceland. It's a Scandinavian country where they've gone on strike in terms of like refusing to go to work on a certain day.
Oh,
Yes.
because of the gender pay gap.
Yes, and
Love
obviously,
it.
yeah. So
I'm trying to bring that here.
you should bring that here because basically, what I'm saying with the wedding dress is, if women were like, on this, we're not doing it. Bring the prices down.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to be locked in unison.
Do you know
we
why
ain't
we do
doing it.
Internalized, objectification. We like see our worth through the eyes of men. We see our worth through how bright and shiny and beautiful we look as a bride. And then competition mode kicks in. And suddenly we're like, oh, I can't buy my dress off the rack or this, that, and the other because I need to look as good as X or I need to look good as Y. And again, it is a weird type of status. And, I'll just call it for what it is. Like, I'm sure people will disagree, but a lot of people have been like dreaming of that day and what that day will represent. And then when it comes, like, they go a bit bananas. They make completely irrational decisions. They pay for things they can't afford. And they do things literally because they're looking at it through the eyes of others instead of through themselves. And I feel like incredibly grateful that I was a point in my life where I was just like, I'm doing this for me. And I'm not going to be brainwashed into spending crazy amounts of money literally for a white dress.
Yeah. And the propaganda starts early with Disney and stuff like that from childhood. So yeah, it's a
one of
very
those
powerful
girls
incentive.
that, like, grew up dreaming of like my wedding day. And I'm not saying there's anything like bad about people who did, but I just didn't. So when the time came, I was just like, I'm going to be sensible about it.
So obviously this podcast, we've got a lot of range. So we've gone from talking about weddings to now I want to talk about AI. So basically,
AI
weddings, Mario Robot. So ChatGPT has released a bunch of new features.
Haven't been on it in a minute, actually.
I use it a lot, but they now allow you to upload a PDF and you can interact and ask questions about the PDF, for example. Now,
Oh, that's useful.
they've integrated DALL-E, so you can do image generations. I've got like a bunch of like logo designs and certain image designs like on spec. Anyways,
rude.
So there's a lot more integrated. It's a lot more powerful now, actually.
Okay.
But what is interesting is that there was a bunch of founders who were all building kind of ChatGPT wrappers. So what that means is like they were building their businesses on the OpenAI ChatGPT API. So one guy had built PDF chatter, so you could talk with a PDF, and I think he had made like 40, 50, 60, 70k a month. He had really scaled it up.
Wow.
Overnight though, business is gone.
Oh.
Because ChatGPT has released it within their actual
Get it while it's hot.
Get it while it's hot, and it's like it's so hard to build a sustainable AI business because unless you're doing your own model where you've trained a bunch of data, which is basically impossible, you need basically billions to do that. You're building on top of these existing platforms, and at any moment they're going to just featureize you and put their feature into their product. So it's very difficult. But at the same time, if you can make money while you're at it, go for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I think Peter Levels of Nomad
Yeah,
List
of
and Remote,
course.
he's built a bunch of AI startups, and I think according to what he's presenting, he's making like 400k a month. He makes more money from his AI startups now than he ever did from like Remote OT and
I mean,
Nomad
I guess
List.
it's wise for him to do that because his main business is recruitment and ain't nobody
Recruitment,
right
exactly.
now.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh.
I'm not as good as sometimes. I gotta be like, listen, I'm not the best entrepreneur. The guys like that are killers because he obviously saw that recruitment was declining. Remote work probably wasn't as hot and sexy as it used to be, and I need to find the next wind. It's AI, and he started building all these tools that you can use to like design your house. So you can type in and say, my house wants to look like this. I want a green sofa, and it will give you like using image generation. It will show you what it could potentially look like.
Yeah.
And then I think he also done a lot of like photo ones where you could do a LinkedIn profile or your yearbook or whatever, right? So kudos to him. He's a very talented entrepreneur. But yeah, it's just a very tough space.
It is.
I don't think I'll be cut out for it because you've literally got to build every day, and you've also got to release and hope that somebody else isn't going to come in and just quickly clone you.
His advantage is that he has enough of an audience that he's grown across social media that he can just convert his existing followers into customers when he launches things like that.
Yes, and you have to get the first 1,000 users is so vital. It's such a competitive advantage now to have an audience. It's actually insane.
Yeah, if you're not building one, why not?
Get to it. We'll leave this episode. I think that's one episode done. Call that the wedding special.
Wedding special. Techish gets married.
I need to get a snack, man. How time is it?
I don't know do you know when the cafe downstairs shuts?
I think it's shut now already.
No.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty close.
Oh, oops.
It's halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah.